Are you tired of paying high cable or satellite television bills? I know I was. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I cut the cord once and for all and now enjoy the highest quality, the highest signal quality over the air high definition broadcasts for free. It's a lot easier than you think. Stick around. So in 2011 was the first time that I cut the cord, and I had Time Warner Cable at the time, and I was paying for high definition television broadcasts. However, only a few channels on their lineup were actually high definition. The rest were standard. And most of the standard definition broadcast was actually grainy and artifacty and just not desirable. And I just felt like I was getting ripped off for what I was paying for. So I kind of got frustrated, and I looked into getting an antenna and harvesting the beautiful high definition signal broadcasts that float through the air, and just harvesting them for free. And I noticed for like for under like $150, I was able to buy an antenna and a mast and enough coaxial cable to connect everything up so that I could harvest these signals. So it was kind of like, for the cost of like 1.5 cable bills, I would then rid myself of ever having to pay for a cable company again. And like I said, the signal was far superior. It was high definition, and it was far superior to what I was getting. It wasn't grainy at all. It was in 5.1, Dolby Digital. I mean, it was fantastic. And I enjoyed that for 2 years. And then Game of Thrones happened, and I was like, ugh, I can't get Game of Thrones. So I bit the bullet, and I actually got satellite. I got DirecTV, and I enjoyed that for 2 years. But, it just is so frustrating to deal with the cable companies or the satellite dish companies, because they sucker you in for like $60. And, for the first year with a 2-year commitment. And by the time you're done, you're at like $124 a month in cable bills. And so I ended up recutting the cord back in March of 2015. I had the antenna already, I didn't have to buy anything. I just had to unplug the coaxial cable from the satellite, from DirecTV, plug in my antenna again, and I was back to just harvesting the over-the-air broadcast. 2015 was like a really great time to get it to become a cord cutter, because a lot of the major companies like HBO were announcing that, hey, they were probably going to be providing their services a la carte, 2 cord cutters with like an HBO Now. I don't think it was out yet, but it was coming. The technology was moving in that direction of now allowing you to pick and choose what you wanted to watch. I mean, we have Amazon Prime, we have Netflix. I mean, we have lots of services that allow you to watch, some of the more premium content, but without having to pay a monthly bill or have to deal with a customer service representative that won't let you, disconnect a service. Anyway, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to set up my antenna in the first place, and how to figure out where to orient it and things like that. I know there's a lot of questions, and perhaps that might be your reason for not going ahead and cutting the cord yourself. So I'm going to try to demystify the process for you, take you through it. And you'll need, like I said, probably about $155 when all is said and done of an investment, a one-time investment, and a little ambition. And you can, rid yourself of the tyranny of the cable industry once and for all. All right, so the first thing we need to do is figure out what size antenna we need and where we should place it. And a great starting point for this is antennaweb.org. Now, I am not affiliated with this site in any way. This just happens to be the site that I used to figure all this stuff out back in 2011. So the fact that they're still around means they must be doing something right. In any event, you're going to want to hit the click here to start button. And this is going to take you to this screen where you can enter in your address or zip code. Now, if you're nervous about entering your address, feel free to enter your zip code here. You can always change your mind later. Putting in your address is just going to give you more accuracy in the distance measurements, and you'll see how that's relevant on the next screen. All right, once you get to this screen, you're going to see that your address has been plotted on a map, and you're going to see all these red lines jutting out from your property. And on the left side, you are going to see a variety of television towers that are local to you. And you can actually scroll this down, and if there's more, as there are in this case. And let's take a look at what it tells you. It tells you that this is Univision, UNI. The call sign here is HSN. I guess that's the home shopping network. ABC, PBS, NBC, Fox, etc. It also tells you what channel it is on. It's on 40.1. And again, there might be more channels here. There might be a 40.2, 40.3, 40.4. So it's just going to show you the primary channel. It says it's 17 miles away and it's at 231 degrees. And again, if I move my cursor, let me do it over red. It's a little easier to see on red, but if you look on the right-hand side, it kind of highlights the corresponding lines so you can kind of see what direction that tower is. The other thing it's going to show you is the degrees, the orientation. So this particular tower is at 231 degrees. So 0 is up, 90 is to the right, 180 is down, 270 is here. So 231 is right down here. And that's relevant because depending on the channels you want to get is going to determine what size antenna you need and where you're going to place it. So this is going to give you all that information. So in my case, I want ABC, which is 14 miles away at 107 degrees. I want NBC, which is 14 miles away at 105 degrees. I'm going to just move this back and forth so you can see where that 104 degrees, 105 degrees is. So that's in this direction, okay? I want Fox, and I want CBS for sure. Now, it doesn't mean I won't get the other channels, but because I want these channels the most, I'm probably going to want to put my antenna somewhere back here. And you're going to see I end up putting it over here. Now, I don't put it on the roof. I put it above the first floor, and that's important because I have trees in my backyard. And the way this whole thing works is because the signals are over the air, line of sight is important. And if you have a tree line that's too close, that's blocking the signals, that can hamper your reception. So putting it the higher, the better, free of visual obstructions. Now, the fact that these towers that I'm interested in are 14 miles away, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS are all 14 miles away. I'm going to want to get an antenna that has at least a 14-mile range, if not better. And if I want to get some of the other channels, like this one's 25 miles away, and I'm going to go to the top here and just take a quick look here. And I see that the worst case is over here. This one's 37 miles away. If I get an antenna that can do 60 miles or 45 miles, the more miles, the better. But obviously, the longer the range, the bigger the antenna as well. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to look for an antenna that has a range of about 60 miles. And I keep saying I and me. I'm just taking you through my thought process as I put this thing together. So you have a point of reference, I guess. And I'm thinking 60 miles because even though the furthest transmission tower is 37 miles away, I want to gather as much signal as possible and, cast the widest net so that the larger my antenna, the greater the gathering power and thus the less susceptible to inclement weather and stuff my antenna will be. And that will reduce and eliminate potential artifacts, potential distortion that I might get on certain channels. Okay, so let's take a look at the parts you may need for this project. You're going to need an antenna, and I'm using the Antennas Direct DB4 multi-directional HDTV antenna. Now, whatever antenna you get, you're going to want to make sure it's an HDTV antenna. Now, this particular model was discontinued by the manufacturer. It's actually been replaced by a newer model. You could get this model if it serves your needs, but if it was me, I'd be getting the newer version, which is this 4-element bow tie indoor-outdoor HDV antenna from Antennas Direct, and this looks like the equivalent. It comes in a variety of sizes, so if you don't need the 60-mile range, you can get a 45-mile range, which will be smaller, or one with a 70-mile range. Antennas Direct also has a cool antenna called the Clearstream Eclipse, and this sucker essentially sticks to your wall. It doesn't really stick, but it adheres temporarily. It'll stay there, and then if you want, you can pull it right off your wall. And this is a good indoor solution. So if you are sufficiently close to your transmission towers, the signals are nice and strong, you could probably get away with something like this. And it's a really nice solution. And it won't require you to, climb a ladder and mount things to the side of your house. All right, but for my solution, I need a mount. So if you're gonna mount it to the side of your house as I did, you need something like this. And it comes in a variety of sizes. I used the 30-inch mount, and I mount one side to my house and the antenna to it. This is the grounding clamp I use to ground the mast. You're also going to need some coaxial cable. Here you can get 50 feet of coaxial cable for $12.99. And you're also going to need some grounding wire. And lastly, you're going to plug everything into a grounding block. All right, so putting it all together, it looks something like this. You're going to want to find a suitable place. You're going to want to mount your mast onto something sturdy. Once your mast is mounted, you're going to want to put your antenna on that. The antenna's direct antenna comes with the appropriate U-bolt so you can secure it to your mast. There are no electrical wires that you're going to have to deal with. All you're going to have to deal with is the coaxial cable, which you'll plug into your antenna, and the grounding wire, which you're going to use to ground the mast using the grounding clamp we purchased earlier. We're then going to run the coaxial cable and the grounding wire to the area of your house where your existing cable line enters your home. Near this entry point, you're going to want to put your grounding block, and you're going to want to connect the antenna coax to one side, and the other side is going to go into that entry point I showed you earlier. We're also going to attach the grounding wire to the grounding block. And then the grounding block is going to be grounded to a grounding point. Now mine is near my electrical box, and this is where things can get dicey. So if you're not comfortable doing this, don't. And I'm really serious here. If you don't feel comfortable, hire a professional. It's still a lot cheaper to have a professional install your antenna than paying a monthly cable bill. The reason why things can get dicey is because if you don't know what you're doing and you have a stray wire or something, or there's electricity powering through there or something like that, a short circuit somewhere, you could kill yourself. You could die. So certainly hire someone if you're not comfortable. All right, the last set of connections you're going to have to do is you're going to have to look to see where that external entry point enters your home. In my case, I have this like junction box here, and you're going to want to make sure that it's connected to the input and it's distributed to the various locations within your home where you want to receive that signal. Now, less is more here. And what I mean by that is you're only going to want to connect a coaxial cable to a room that has a television set in it. So if you have a 5-bedroom home, but you only have 2 television sets, you're only going to want to connect a coax to those 2 rooms. This will ensure that you get the strongest signal possible where it matters to those television sets, because the more coax you use, the more attenuation occurs or weakening of your signal. Finally, go to each of your TVs, connect the coax to the wall and to the back of the TV. Power on your TV and go to the settings to adjust the antenna type. You're going to switch it from cable to antenna. From there, you're going to go and run the auto program, which is going to scan for channels that your antenna can pick up. Now, if you're coming from cable or satellite, there'll be a bit of a shock because you're not going to have the hundreds of channels that you're used to. In my case, I have 35 channels that I can get, but I do get the channels that I care for, which are ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. For anything else, there's always Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Now, and a host of other streaming services that I can use to fill any gaps. Best of all, this solution eliminates any monthly bill that I have to pay, and the quality of the signal I receive is fantastic. In fact, this is a 1080i broadcast that I'm looking at right now with complete Dolby Digital 5.1 surround. Anyway, that's all I got. I hope you liked this video and I've inspired you to go out and get a high definition television antenna. I left a link to all the various hardware that I used in my build as a reference to you. If you have questions about the process, feel free to leave them in the description below. If you like this video, certainly give it a thumbs up. It helps other people find the video. and I'll see you next time.